Um, okay, so today I'm going to be talking about Period 8, what happened, why, and key events related to it. So yeah, let's get into it. So, Period 8, one of the defining features of Period 8 was the Cold War, which was basically an ideological rivalry between the United States and Soviet Union. Contextualization for why this event happened is an issue you have to learn yourself. I'm sorry I can't go over it. It's a very long or an arduous process, which I don't want to go into. So yeah, this era was characterized by the arms race, nuclear brinkmanship, and competition for influence and control around the world. Because so America had this were basically the flag bearer for democracy, while Soviet Union was a flag bearer for communism, and these are very conflicting ideologies. And so, in order for the world to be a safer place, they felt that they had to take each other out in order to, you know, expand their ideologies across the world. The United States adopted a policy of containment at this period, aiming to prevent the spread of communism and Soviet influence. This policy led to military interventions such as the Korean War and the Vietnam War, as well as covert operations in countries like Iran, Guatemala, and Chile. Also, this led to a policy of providing funding for countries that are projected to be taken over by communism, such as Greece, etc. The Cold War shaped American foreign policy, military strategy, and domestic politics throughout this period. The civil rights movement was another crucial part and aspect of our or aspect of Period 8 because African Americans and their allies fought for equal rights, challenging racial segregation and discrimination. The movement gained momentum with significant events like the Montgomery bus boycott, the sit-ins, and the freedom rides. Civil rights leader like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and Malcolm X played pivotal roles in advocating for racial equality. The passage of key legislation, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964, I believe, not I think, it's a better word, and the Voting Rights of 1965 marked a significant victory for the movement. However, challenges and struggles for racial equality persisted throughout the period. The Vietnam War was a very, as I mentioned earlier, um, the the containment policy that U.S. They they admitted, or I should say, so okay, disregard that. The Vietnam War, like I said earlier, which is a product of the U.S. containment policy, was a central controversial issue in Period 8. It was so basically the United States became involved in the war in an attempt to contain communism in Southeast Asia. The conflict sparked significant opposition and protests, with the anti-war movement gaining traction across the country. Students, intellectuals, and civil rights activists were at the forefront of the anti-war movement, organizing demonstrations and marches to express the opposition to the war. The conflict also revealed divisions within American society and led to a crisis of confidence in the government and its decision-making process. Why this happened was due to the fact that the government was caught lying. The government, I wouldn't say the government, I would say the president in charge. His name, I can't remember at this time, but he was caught lying to the American public multiple times. And if the leader of a country lies, of the leader that's supposed to represent a significant part of a country lies, the trust between the consumer and the organization is broken, and this is exactly what happened with American citizen and the government. He lied multiple times about, I believe, the state of the war, and the public and what the and progress reports on the war. I believe. Keep in mind that the American citizens were able to find out about this. Were able to find out. Were able to discover this lie because this was the era in which television was important, and so the actual was being televised, which means Americans were able to see the impact of war firsthand. Period A witnessed significant social and cultural changes. The post-war, the post-World War II era brought about an economic boom, consumerism, and suburbanization, which was basically Americans shifting their focus from cities and moving into little suburbs to live a quiet family life. The baby boom led to a demographic shift with a significant increase in the number of births. The rise of television, like I said earlier, and mass media transformed American culture and society. This will also play a pivotal role in today's society as well. The invention of mass media and all that. It also shaped American public opinion. It was able to shape public opinion and influence popular culture. This period also saw the emergence of countercultural movements such as the Beat Red Generation, the hippie movement, and the women's liberation movement, which challenged traditional social norms and advocating for social change. Furthermore, period A was marked by political and social movements that sought to address issues of inequality and injustice. The feminist movement gained momentum, advocating for women's rights and equality. The environmental movement emerged, highlighting concerns about pollution, conservation, and the need for sustainable practices. The LGBTQ plus rights movement began to gain visibility and the fight for equal treatment and recognition. Right? So, um, the conflict that was at the heart of the American interest in this period is pretty obvious, which was a fight for equality. Now, the topic of equality may mean different things to different groups. If equality for African Americans meant the ability to be considered a citizen and human, and if you were to ask feminists, it meant the ability to work, to be able to work, to be able to vote, to be able to do basic things that men can do. And if you ask LGBTQIA community, they would say it was the ability to be able to consider human and like able to have their own choice in marriage and stuff like that. So I think the main conflict in this era was the fight for equality on for different ethnical and cultural groups. Thank you.